Minnetonka and Woodbury never fight. They're 45 minutes apart. They've actually never even met. They don't even know that the other exists. And that is the problem. Nobody has ever made them fight. And today, they fight. Now, if you're moving to the Twin Cities and you've narrowed it down to somewhere on the east side and somewhere on the west side, this video is for you, and today I'm gonna make you choose. No both, no depends on your priorities, no. Today, I'm gonna actually force you to decide on, do you think you're leaning more towards the West Metro or more towards the East Metro? Because that's my job. I'm Mackenzie. I sell real estate anywhere in the Twin Cities Metro. And today I am bringing two of the most talked about and popular suburbs together in a head-to-head battle of who's the most suburb to ever suburb and which one you potentially may want to live in. Now, of course, I live in the West Metro, so I have my own biases, but I gotta mention that because, you know, if somebody says they don't really have a favorite, they're gonna be lying to you, and then you shouldn't even trust them anyway. Now, quick orientation if you're new here or if you're like me and you took geography online because the state made that a requirement in your senior year of high school. Now, Minnetonka is in the West Metro in Hennepin County. Now, and it sits right on the edges of Lake Minnetonka, about 10 miles from downtown Minneapolis. But Lake Minnetonka is actually on the outskirts of Minnetonka. And Woodbury is in East Metro in Washington County. And it sits on the Wisconsin side of the Twin Cities. It's about the same distance from downtown St. Paul as Minnetonka is from Minneapolis. Same distance from their downtown, same general size tier, but wildly different personalities. And let's find out whose personality wins. Now, every suburb has a founding story, and most of them are boring, but these two are not. Woodbury used to be called Red Rock, named in 1858 after a sacred stone that Dakota chief Little Crow had painted. Beautiful name, great story, one problem. There was already a Red Rock, Minnesota. The state legislature found out a year later, and Woodbury got renamed on the spot after Levi Woodbury, a Supreme Court justice from New Hampshire who just happened to be friends with the town board chairman. So Woodbury's origin story is, and I want to be very precise about this, a paperwork error that then got fixed by naming the town after somebody's buddy. And Minnetonka's origin story involves a sawmill. That's it. That's the joke. Now, the first lasting European settlement built west of Minneapolis, it was built around a two-story sawmill in 1855. Very respectable, and also just very forgettable. But here's actually what makes Minnetonka interesting. Tonka Toys. Yes, that Tonka. The company started in nearby Mound, right on Lake Minnetonka, and named itself after the lake. So, every kid in America who ever crashed a yellow dump truck into a wall was unknowingly paying tribute to a lake in the West Metro. Woodbury does not have a toy store named after it, so, you know, advantage Minnetonka on a technicality, because the lake is prettier than a naming mistake. Round one, Minnetonka. Round two, who's watching your money? Now, Minnetonka is home to Cargill's headquarters, the largest privately held company in the entire United States, and UnitedHealth Group, the biggest publicly traded company in Minnesota. That's not a suburb, that's a boardroom with a really good landscaping. Now, Woodbury's answer to corporate might is that it is one of the fastest growing suburbs in the Twin Cities. The population went from about 62,000 in 2010 to about 80,000 now. That's almost a 30% growth in a little over a decade. Now, Minnetonka isn't growing like that. It is already built out. Woodbury, it's still writing chapters. So here's the actual takeaway for you as a buyer, is that Minnetonka is where the money already lives, but Woodbury is where the money is still arriving. There's different bets, both good ones. Round two, this one's more of a tie. I'm not ducking this one, they're answering different questions. Round three, what does your money actually buy you? Numbers time for my numbers people. I want you to actually, and don't worry, I'll put it on the screen. I want you to actually remember this because this is the part that matters when you're signing the purchase agreement. Minnetonka's median sales price is sitting right around $515,000 this spring, with homes moving fast with under 3 weeks on the market typically. Now, Woodbury is coming in lower, depending on the source you're looking for, somewhere in the low to mid fours to right around $500,000 with slightly higher time on market. The translation, Minnetonka is going to cost you more and make you move faster. Woodbury, you have a little bit more breathing room on price and a little bit more time to actually think. If you're the kind of buyer who needs to see 4 houses before you decide, okay, well, Woodbury is going to be friendlier to you in this instance. If you already know what you want and you're ready to move the second you see it, then Minnetonka could actually be a great opportunity. Round 3, Woodbury for value, Minnetonka for pace. I'm calling it a split decision, and then I'm going to move on before you start yelling at your screen. Round 4, the commute. This is one that I think people, to quote George W., misunderestimate and then regret for the next 10 years of their life. Minnetonka to downtown Minneapolis is a straight shot down 394 or 494, roughly 20 to 25 minutes outside of rush hour. Woodbury to downtown St. Paul is a similar distance. But if your job is actually in Minneapolis, you're now crossing the entire metro to get there. And that 25 minutes can turn into then 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes even more. Now, depending on what your traffic typically means for you, you might actually think that's a little bit of a deal. But us Minnesotans, we're used to wide open spaces and country. We like to move quickly from place to place. That's why we count our distance in minutes, not miles. If you are moving to LA, fun fact, don't say it's going to take about 20 minutes thinking 20 miles is 20 minutes, because that is not the same. So, real question is, which commute is better? Well, it really depends on where you're going to be commuting to. Duh, but most people don't realize that we do have 2 large metros, and you do have to base your commute around the city that your job is in. One quick take from a real local though, 394, God love them, but they are always working on themselves. There is always construction. And that to me is sometimes very frustrating. Round 4, depends on your job. It's not a cop-out, but it's really the actual honest answer. Round 5, what do you do on a Saturday? Now, Minnetonka has Lake Minnetonka. I know, that sounds like cheating, like I just said. The lake suburb has a lake. That is technically what I said, but I need you to understand what that actually means in terms of day-to-day. Boating, lake days, waterfront restaurants, a whole culture built around water that most of the country doesn't even get to have as a backyard amenity. Woodbury's answer to that, I would say, is probably Battle Creek Regional Park. 8 small lakes scattered through town, 3,000 acres of parkland. And if you're willing to drive 15 minutes, you're at Afton Apple Orchard, picking apples and getting lost in the corn mazes and all that every fall. And there's also a great World War II aircraft museum that I definitely think you should check out that kind of flies under the radar in Woodbury. Which, hey, you know, if that's your answer to a Saturday, you're my people. I'm sure you read about it in the paper. Minnetonka's Saturday is a boat. Woodbury's Saturday is a hiking trail. You got the apple orchard. And then you of course, have all of the generic retail and shops and restaurants that are available. Round 5 depends on whether you want water or woods, shopping, or the outdoors. Here's where I don't want to give you a fake winner, because a fake winner doesn't help you make a $550,000 decision. Minnetonka is for you if you work in or near Minneapolis. You want to be close to serious corporate density, you want lake life, you want a good balance between corporate, retail, and mature built-up areas, then Minnetonka is absolutely for you. Woodbury for you is if you work or lean more towards the St. Paul style of living. You want a community that's actively growing and building upon itself. I swear, Woodbury is expanding like crazy. Now, neither one is necessarily a better suburb. I know that's not really the answer, but the truthful answer is they're not competing for the same buyer. But if you made me pick, you're like, I'm walking out the front door, I'm going to one, well then, yeah, I'm a lake guy. I probably would go with Minnetonka. But if somehow Woodbury, you manifest as an AI at some point and you're now watching this video, don't hate me. There's no judgment. If you are relocating and genuinely can't tell which side of the metro fits your life, that's not a you problem. That is the whole reason this channel exists. Drop your job location and your must-haves in the comments below, and I'll give you a straight shooter's opinion on where I think you probably want to land. And then next week, I'm going to be doing a video that some of you have been asking for since the South Metro list dropped. So make sure you're subscribed because you do not want to miss that. So make sure you're subscribed for that one, and take it easy out there.